welcome to the $1 Billion Podcast, a weekly show about the entrepreneurial journey and making it big in any industry. We're your hosts, Joe White and Kane Daniel. Today on the $1 Billion Podcast, we welcome Danielle Gibson, a dedicated mortgage agent level 2 with Premier Mortgage Center. Starting her career in nursing, Danielle's passion for helping others led her to transition into the mortgage industry, where she brings the same care and personal touch to her clients. Whether she's working with first-time home buyers, assisting with refinancing, or helping investors, Danielle focuses on providing clear guidance and support throughout the homeownership process. Danielle, welcome. It's great to have you with us.
Thanks so much, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, and Danielle, what we typically start out with, and we'd love to hear all the way back in the beginning, as far as back as you want to go, to try to get an understanding of sort of your origin story. I know Joe mentioned nursing. We'd love to hear like sort of what your origin story was and how you entered into the industry and why.
Yeah.
See that? Yeah, because that's something that I could see you as a kid. We always ask people, like, you didn't wake up one day as a 7-year-old thinking I want to be a mortgage broker, but I could see that, you know, a 7-year-old wanting to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing this.
Yeah. So my education is in nursing, as we've established here. Best years of my life. The education was amazing. I went to school out in Nova Scotia, and it was different world. I grew up in Newmarket, Ontario. So going out there, I was raised by a single mom. So when I told her I'm going out to Halifax for school, it raised a couple red flags for her, for sure. But they were the best years, and the people out there are just, you can't beat them. They're the best, and taught me a lot. So my education, finished my nursing, and was working with the school board back here in Ontario, actually, as a school nurse. And I travel around to schools that had medically fragile children, and we do tube feeds and any sort of injections or anything that needed to be done. And it was great for a nursing job. It was glamorous, but you're working hard, and, you know, the pay honestly wasn't reflecting how hard you're working, and the emotion tied to seeing, you know, these vulnerable kids. And, you know, even before the school board, I was working in a hospital setting on the cancer and palliative care floor. And again, just so much emotion, so draining. And I have so much respect for nurses because they don't get the recognition they deserve, and they work very, very hard. So if any nurses are listening, I love you and I appreciate you. But anyway, I just had our first, so I have 3 kids. My oldest daughter, she'll be 7 in March. And during my mat leave with her, at the time, my husband was doing residential mortgages, and during my mat leave with her, I started doing admin work for him on the residential mortgage side because I was home. She was an easy baby, so had time, and just spent time learning the business and just kind of helping out. And I got to a point where I was like, you know, I can do this and I'll be good at it. And I see direct transferable skills from nursing to, you know, the mortgage industry. Even though they may seem opposite, there's a lot of emotion involved in mortgages and purchasing homes. And so, you know, I just saw a lot of crossover between the two. So, you know, I took an 18-month mat leave, and at the end of that mat leave, you know, I was at a point where I'm like, I don't want to go back. I can work from home, be present for my kids. At the time, I was pregnant with our second, and, you know, I was at kind of a crossroads, and I had decided at that point, or we had decided that, you know, let's make a run at this. So didn't renew my nursing license the next year, which was hard because you spend all this time and money and years of your life educating yourself in this one sector. And just like that, you don't renew your license and, you know, it's gone. You know, I continued working for my husband, doing admin work and continuing to learn the business. and got to another kind of crossroads probably about 2 years ago where, I was doing this work, learning the business, but it wasn't my business. And I was really just kind of nurturing my husband. His name is Jonathan. Jonathan's leads and his clients. And I got to a point where I needed to start doing it for me. And, I had this kind of epiphany moment one day, and I had thought, what happens if something happens to John? And we have 3 kids now, and, this isn't my business. That business will fizzle out if I don't kind of step up and go to the next level and dig in. So, the past 2 years have been, Danielle developing my business and kind of running with it. And, the past 2 years, as I'm sure you guys know, the mortgage industry and real estate has been, hit. And so I've seen a lot of people leave the industry, and there's moments where it has been discouraging, but, the past 6 months, you've seen your hard work kind of paying off, and the phone is ringing, and I'm really excited for what is to come. I'm busy and really encouraged and excited for this year.
That's amazing. Yeah, you've made it through the other side. Like everybody else that's still with us. It's definitely been a challenging couple of years, and I can't imagine how challenging it must be with 3 kids. Your oldest being 7. I mean, I've got a 7-year-old and an 11-year-old, and yeah, that's got to be tough.
And both in the same profession, so taking the hit at the same time, right?
Yeah. So now my husband, he does private and commercial mortgages. He's got his own brokerage, so separate babies. I'm with Premier. He's got his own thing going. So it's all me now.
Was that purposeful to have that separation?
I think it's very purposeful, and we both work from home, and we can both bounce ideas off of each other, and it wouldn't work for everybody. But I think in our case, it works well, and he is a mentor for me, and it's not like I'm calling somebody I'm not comfortable with. Like I'm asking, somebody that I can trust if I have any questions. And, he was a top producer with Premier. He was, top 2 for a very long time before he moved on to the commercial and private side. So, he's got, a solid education and base in this industry behind him. So, lots of support, but again, I think it is very smart and it's strategic that we both have our own thing. Since
you focus, I assume, on the residential side of things.
I do. Yeah.
So there's not really any competition between the two of you. I was wondering if you get home and over dinner, you start, how many deals did you close today?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant
it can be that way. It can be that way, although they are different babies. Now that my business is picking up, once you get a taste of, a little success, it's like, okay, you just want more and you want more. And it kind of, drives you to do better.
Absolutely. Now, Danielle, sorry to cut you off there, Kane. I want to go back to something you said in regards to crossover skills, that what you found in nursing, you've been able to bring with you and apply in this industry. Could you talk a bit more about what those skills are and how you think that they apply? Yeah.
So, and my biggest what makes me, good at what I do, and also my biggest downfall, is I lead with emotion, and I am an emotional person, and I'm very in tune to other people's emotions. So, when it came to coaching people through the biggest purchase of their lives, I think people appreciate somebody who they feel genuinely cares about their home purchase, because I genuinely do. And I think that is what sets me apart from a lot of other brokers out there. The money is great. I'm not going to argue that, but the satisfaction that comes from helping somebody who couldn't be helped elsewhere, and by going that extra mile for your clients, it exceeds sometimes a lot of the some of the things I would experience in nursing. Same feeling, you're helping somebody, you're making a difference in somebody's life, but the end result, the feeling that you get after, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's good.
It sounds like you're maybe an empath. You have a lot of empathy for your clients, and that I can see somebody that has that empathy. Nursing would be very difficult, since you're probably feeling everything that your clients or your patients are feeling. Mm-hmm. So this is most likely just as rewarding, but in a different way, I imagine.
I think that's a really important point that you made as well, and something that I'm not sure everyone fully understands. And coming into the industry, the benefits that you get, you're not necessarily working with numbers; you really are working with people. So I'm wondering, for you, was that something like? Did you know that there was going to be some soft skill transfer from nursing to mortgage, or did you just fall into it? I mean, it sounds like you were going to do it for a short time, and then you loved it so much that you stayed in it. Maybe for those that are, I think one of the reasons why people might not come into any industry or change is because of the fear of the unknown, right? They're not sure if they're going to like it. They're not sure if they're going to get out of it what they want, if their skills are going to be transferred over. So I'm wondering if that's something that you had realized after, or if it's something that you thought about before you started in the mortgage side.
Yeah, it was certainly something that it kind of fell on me as I was getting into it. I didn't expect to continue doing mortgages after my mat leave. Honestly, I was just helping John. He was busy, and, I was at home collecting my, my mat leave, had nothing else to do. So, but the more I got into it, it's like, wait a minute, like, I have so much flexibility. I can do this with a newborn. And so I did it with subsequent, I had two more babies after that, sure, I'm sending emails from the delivery room, but like, it doesn't stop in that. I mean, that's the upside to the job. You can work from anywhere, whenever. But yeah, as I was kind of getting into it, it's like, wait a minute, I can be home and be available for my family and work, a lot of nights I'm working after the kids go to bed, but that's okay. Like, after we're done here today, I'm going to volunteer at my kids' school. So with nursing, that wouldn't have happened. Right. So it's just kind of opened up a lot of doors and a lot of opportunity for me to do things like giving back to the community and like outreach and, being active in not only my kids' lives, but being there for friends and family. That it just wouldn't have happened if I had continued on the path that I was. So, yeah.
Yeah, so Danielle, I think that's an important thing that you said, because with flexibility, just that understanding of flexibility, again, for those coming back or coming into the industry for the first time, that's a major benefit, I think, or at least perceived as such. But I think the important thing with that is, and I think you touched on it, is that flexibility is just that. It's flexibility. It doesn't mean that you're not working as hard or as many hours, sometimes more, but that you have the flexibility to be able to attend, your kids' events and other things that you need to. I think I want it to be understood, that make sure that you are working hard. I think you illustrate that well, in the evenings when kids go to bed and that sort of thing. But I did want to ask something a little bit different. You mentioned earlier that when you were sort of growing up, you had a single parent household. I'm wondering if you think that has had any effect on you in regards to maybe the way you operate or the person that you are that contributes to your role now as a mortgage agent.
100%. So my mom, she is one of the most influential people in my life. I watched her grind as hard as she possibly could. I grew up playing competitive soccer, and it took everything in her to, afford, all the tours of the States that we would go on and tournaments in the States. And, I watched her, work a very long, hard career. And it's only really been in the last 10 years when she's kind of been able to ease up on that, knowing that, okay, well, my baby's grown up and doing her own thing now. I can, relax. So that has definitely driven me. And for me to show my kids what a hardworking mom looks like, and to see them. And, that's one of the challenges that I need to work through now, is not always being on my phone, or not always, at the computer working and getting something done. Having that healthy balance to show them, if you want something, you're going to work for it, and you need to work for it, and you need to work hard, and be appreciative for, having a mom and a dad that are able to give that example to you, that, nothing in life comes easy, and you need to work hard for it. So seeing
Do you enjoy what you're doing now?
I do. And I think my kids see that, and I'm very, I often remind them, if you want to do, they love Great Wolf Lodge. Going to Great Wolf
Lodge,
some people would probably need to take out another mortgage to go to Great Wolf Lodge, but, instilling that, trips like that don't just happen for no reason. Like, we had to work hard to do this. And my mom, it was, so apparent to me growing up how hard she was working to give me. I never lived any differently than any of my friends, but it's because she worked her tail off to give me everything that I could have, and give me every opportunity that I could have asked for. So,
and opportunities are important, right? And you never know when they're coming. And that's something, it's funny. We spoke about this, I think, off air, that, most kids don't wake up at 7 and think, hey, I want to be a mortgage broker. But in a circumstance where you are a successful mortgage broker and you have little kids, and now they get to see the lifestyle that you have and the flexibility and all the benefits, do you think that there's any trajectory there for your kids to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah. It's funny. If you ask my almost 7-year-old what she wants to do, she wants to be a mortgage broker.
Oh, wow.
It's hilarious. And for me, I'm like, okay, that's probably going to change. But to hear that come out of, a 6-year-old's mouth, it's just too much. Like, you got
to get her on
but
video.
It's nice. Yeah. And it's like, okay, let's keep doing what we're doing, and show her a healthy work-life balance, and show her that, we're working hard, but I'm also able to be present for you. Like, when I hear her say that, it is like, heartwarming, because it's like, okay, like, we're showing her something that she wants to do. So it's very cool.
Yeah, and kids are so honest, aren't they? They'll brutally honest. Yeah, so it's fantastic that your kids can see how well you're doing, and that you love what you do, and whether they become a mortgage broker or not, that they're learning to aim for something that they love doing. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, that work-life balance is super important. Mm-hmm. And success is important, obviously. So maybe you could tell us how you define success, because everybody looks at what success is differently. Some are going to put a dollar sign on it, and others the flexibility. What's that for you?
It's a good question. So, I mean, for me, success looks like knowing every product and lender option inside and out, and being able to confidently recommend these products to my clients. I think that's another one of my strengths. I know, very well what my lenders offer, and I get a client that comes in within the first, conversation. I already know what lender I want to place them with. So I think that is something that makes me good at what I do, and something that I'm genuinely proud of, because there's a lot of brokers out there that don't have that in them. And again, I think it's something that sets me apart, and something I take pride in. And for me, adding to that success or knowledge is always saying yes to, if a BDM wants to take me out to a lunch or golfing. I love golf. I'm saying yes to every opportunity, because you're building that relationship, and you're going to get some product knowledge by doing those things. So that's one thing for sure. I'm a yes girl. I'll say yes to most things. And for me, another, success point is, integrity is huge for me. And so kind of keeping my integrity and honesty and transparency, I think that's what makes me who I am. Like I said, very emotional, and I lead with emotion. And I think, again, that is what has made me successful and what is my appeal. And so just staying in tune to who I am. And, there's a lot of noise in the industry, and it's easy to be influenced by the way other people are doing their business and to be hard on yourself. But, at the end of the day, it's my business, and that's only, like I said, it's noise, right? So just constantly reminding myself, what makes me good at what I do, and staying true to that. Another thing for me is giving back, like I mentioned earlier, to the community and my clients, and showing that appreciation. Last year, I hosted my first client, family, friends appreciation event, and
Amazing.
it was a skating event. I rented out an arena, and we had a silent auction going, and we had hot chocolate and just donuts, snacks, goodies, and the business came out of that. And I wasn't really expecting it. I was genuinely doing it to give back and say, hey, thanks for getting me here. Like, your referrals mean something to me. So that's another piece for me. It's like, that is what success looks like. Sure, like, I've got my dollar figure goals that I'd like to see for 2025. I have those, but that's not what I'm leading with. Because when you're leading genuinely and authentically, and people feel your genuine care for them, the dollars follow.
They come, right? Absolutely.
They come. And that's been, one of the hardest things over the past couple of years with how the kind of market has slowed, but seeing it pick up now, you're seeing the reward of your care for people. So.
Mm-hmm. And Danielle, that what you just spoke on, and I think you just about touched on it, but I'm curious to go a little bit deeper, because I think it's really cool that's your answer to that question about having your morals, maintaining your integrity, and giving back. How does that translate when you're doing business planning? Like, how are you planning for success, if that's what success means to you? If it means integrity, if it means giving back, how do you incorporate that into like a business plan? Someone that wants to come in that has those values as well, or is that something that's separate from your success or business planning, and you just maintain as a characteristic? I'm curious how you think about that.
Yeah, I think it's all kind of looped in together. Like, one of the systems right now, one of my challenges is I'm implementing a bunch of new systems so that as things continue to grow, I'm able to accommodate and not feel overwhelmed, because I'm at a pivotal point in my career right now where we're going to go up, and we're going to go up fast, and I'm really encouraged by the trajectory of what is to come. So implementing things like I'm switching over to a new CRM. I've never operated with a CRM. I have a team now that's helping me with staying in touch with, clients on anniversaries, birthdays, things just outside of your renewal, your upcoming renewal. Just integrating that personal touch into my business is huge for me. And I know, when I have, realtors or whoever who send me a birthday card, in the mail with, a little lottery ticket in or something, just to say happy birthday, I'm thinking of you. Those things for me are huge, and I appreciate them. So integrating that into my business, I think, is just a little personal touch of me, and putting those systems in place so that, people don't get forgotten, and I stay in touch.
Yeah, that's a great point. I have a life insurance agent, and we do life insurance licensing courses, and I've been licensed as a life insurance agent, but I still deal with this life insurance agent who I've known, for dozens of years, maybe not that long, but I've known for a long time. Yeah. And every year he calls me on my birthday, and I see his name show up, and I ignore the call because I don't want to talk to him, right?
Yeah.
But he leaves me a voicemail, if you're listening, Mario, it's not that I don't want to talk to you because you're not a nice person, because I don't have any insurance needs, but he leaves me a great voicemail, and it's touching. Every year he does that. He follows up. And whenever I think about if I need insurance, he's my go-to broker, right? And that's because of that, I think, personal touch. And that's, what you've done with that client appreciation event. That must have been incredibly heartwarming for them to come out and be invited. And it must have been the same for you. So, I think that's a great takeaway for anybody who's looking to expand their business, is increase that personal touch and mean it, right? You got to mean it.
100%. And that's what's going to keep you going in this industry. It's easy to, see dollar figures and, but if you're not doing anything that's kind of nurturing your whole self and tending to not just financially, but you need to be feeling some sort of other success. And for me, emotionally, seeing people enjoy something that there's no strings attached. Like, you're skating, you're having a hot chocolate, and you're just being yourself. That translates into so much more than another deal. But it's just, there's so much more meaning to it. And, it's a tough industry to crack, honestly. And you need,
I think, honestly, the ironic thing there is you'll probably end up getting more deals or more referrals if you do approach it with sort of your methodology, which is just genuine, give value or give events without any expectation, and literally don't have the expectation, because you'll probably be happier anyway. Because if you do expect it and don't get it, you're going to be upset. If you don't expect it and don't get it, you're going to be fine and have a great time. And I think that's really important to have that authenticity, because people see through that. I think even if you try to be very careful with that, people will see the dollar signs in your eyes, and it won't end up working well for you. We've seen that happen before.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting when you look at an event like that, because I had a colleague who used to, I think he still does, do like picnics in the summer for his clients. And when you mention that you have a silent auction, that's cool, because he does that too. He gets the community involved. I remember talking to him, this was like 20 years ago. And he said, it's just a day to celebrate my clients and their families. And, I don't ask anybody for business or referrals, or I take my hat off, my business hat off, and just have a good day. I think that's what you're talking about, Kane, is that you need to be genuine and authentic that way, and just want them to have a fun day.
Yeah. Yeah. They know you care like that. For me, that's the only way that I'm going to, have a long career doing what I'm doing. I need for people to know who I am and to know me outside of just being your hometown mortgage girl. Like, you need to know that I genuinely care about you. Like I said, that's my background, right? That's my education, that I need to, that's just who I am. I need that, to keep me rolling. So,
what else do you think is important, Danielle? I mean, we talked about empathy and caring, which are sometimes go hand in hand. For those that are looking to come into the industry, the life insurance industry, mortgage industry, are I think similar in terms of traits. What else do you think, or you've been able to see, like if you were hiring a new agent, for example, what else do you think is important to look for from them that you can say, this is going to be probably a key marker for success?
Yeah, I would say confidence, really. And that is not something that I had in the beginning. I'm the type of person that I'm not gonna be comfortable selling you something or, talking anything mortgages unless I'm 100% confident in what I'm talking about. And for me, that was kind of my biggest barrier to entry into this field, I would say. Not having the confidence to, I'm not going to sell something if I can't genuinely know the product inside and out. Like, it's not in my nature. I can't talk through my teeth. So that was, for me, the biggest thing to overcome. And it just got to a point where I'm having conversations with clients and I'm like, wait a minute, I know what I'm talking about. I'm doing this, but it took me longer than it should have to realize that and to have that confidence. So I would say and for, again, this, I think I look at where I am now and where I was and what I would tell my younger self. And it would be to if you're going to do something, you need to do it 100% and you need to commit to it and be confident in it. And that's something that I lacked for a long time. And it's really been over the past few years where I've, gotten that confidence. And that's why, this trajectory that I spoke about, I feel it. And it's just because of the confidence. And now, I'm comfortable going out to, meetings with clients because I know that I'm good at what I do and I'm going to be able to place these people and be 100% confident that I've done the best job possible for them.
I think the important thing is there. I love that point about confidence. I think it really matters and comes across. The difficult part, I think, for those that are, especially that are new, is that you can't manufacture confidence, right? So it is about, staying educated, making sure you're the expert. And that comes with some time as well, understanding, what they might ask and getting over that anxiety of not having the answer maybe, or not knowing the right thing to say or do. I'm wondering, Danielle, for you and those moments, because I think it's not uncommon. A lot of people have when they come in, maybe they struggle with confidence. How did you have a mentor that helped you through that, or what kind of strategies did you other than just educating yourself? How did you cope with that?
Yeah, so I would say, the number one thing is any lender call or any free course or anything that you can take, you need to be doing from day one. But as far as mentors go, I had my husband, sure. And then, there's like Carrie Reed is our principal broker. She's, the talk about mentors, like just being around her is encouraging, and her experience, she's the best. And, she really is a gem, and I'm so thankful for her. And so I've, when there's been tough files or, files that I need guidance on, she's a quick call. She's going to answer my call. And if she can't answer my call, she's sending me a text saying, I'm calling you back in 5 minutes. She never leaves you on red. And, she'll fight for you. I've had deals that, I'm getting told no, but I know should be pushed through, and you get Carrie on it and she works her magic. So, everything that Carrie says, you just listen to and you learn from. And that's the one key takeaway, is when you're talking to people that have established themselves in the industry, you got to listen and hear what they have to say and learn something from them. Another one is Ann Pope. She's with our brokerage too. Again, she is the encyclopedia of all things mortgages. And, you have an issue with a file, you're calling Ann and she's got an answer. So I've had access to, some big players in the mortgage industry. And just being around them, there's so much to learn. And keeping like a relationship with these people outside of just, mortgage questions, so that they're not just feeling like when you call them, it's only for answers to problems. Again, you're genuinely caring for these people, and invested in them.
I love that you had that. And this is something that I think this is really needed for someone coming in. They need to have a mentor or mentors that are there with them, especially in the beginning, doing the first several deals or the first year. I think that's super important. I'm wondering if, and you mentioned deals, you mentioned tough deals. I'm wondering if you can tell us if anything sticks out in your brain, to kind of illustrate what the process might be like, or what the feeling you had after was, or maybe you had someone that had a huge pain point and then you were able to just kind of solve it. Is there anything that sticks out, like a client story that you can share for those that maybe want to understand what that might look like?
Yeah, I feel emotions very heavy, as we've established already. And, when you have those deals that have gone sideways and, you're scrambling to get something done, it's stressful. And learning how to cope with that stress has been, huge for me. And I can tell that my knowledge and my confidence is growing because there's not as many stressful files, and there still are. That's the nature of the business. There always will be. And just understanding that, as you're learning, there's going to be things that, you've messed up on. You've said the wrong thing, or, you're learning. And so showing yourself a little bit of grace. But for me, when I have a stressful file that's come, or, a stressful situation, I ask myself, is there something that I can do about this? Yes, let's do something. Like, what are you doing? And let's get it done. If there's not, and it's something that's out of your control, learning to not feel that stress as heavy, because there's been a lot of, sleepless nights when you're just thinking about, a file that's gone sideways that you need to.
Does anything stick out to you? Like in any story that you can share that might stick out to really illustrate what you're saying?
So I had a file, and this wasn't my error, but I had a file that the clients were refinancing, and we were putting a line of credit attached to the home, a home equity line of credit. And the one borrower is a doctor, and so she had a line of credit not secured with another lender. And like I said, she's a doctor, so the rate was, very low. Somehow in lawyer instructions, the lawyers ended up closing out that other line of credit. So for them, it was a big issue. And they're calling me frantically, and I'm like, it was out. I didn't do anything. Like, that wasn't on me, but you're the first call. So, and long story short, I worked a long time on this, and you get it done, and we ended up getting it reversed, and it was all fine. But that took, days, and it probably took days off of my life because it was, so stressful, because, this meant something to these clients, and they were under the assumption that, it wasn't going to get closed, but it did. Anyway, so that was a huge learning experience for me. And, learning how to go through mitigating something like that was huge for me.
Do you do most of your deals, Danielle, remotely, or do you still go out to people's homes or meet with them person to person?
Yeah, a little bit of both. COVID has really made a lot of what we do remote, which, is good, but I also I need that human interaction. For me, again, that's another thing that just keeps me going, putting a face to names. And also, now with all these new compliance and all the new regulations that have come into play with ID verification and knowing your client, it just has really reiterated the importance of seeing your clients face to face, especially if you don't know them, if they're just coming to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of extra things to do from a compliance standpoint now, but for me, it's not a bad thing. I think it is important to know your client. And like I said, I'll go for a coffee with a client anytime. It's my favorite. I'll talk all day, Yeah, that's huge.
When I first got in this industry, it was everything was face to face. It was always going out to somebody's house.
Right.
And this isn't a story that's necessarily going to help anybody, but it's an experience that I had. I went to this client's house, and I always took my shoes off. As soon as I walked in the front door, I would take my shoes off. And in this case, I took my shoes off. The gentleman and I started talking, and then I started to walk towards what I assumed was the living room, and I stepped in something wet. And I thought, okay. And then I took another step, and there was something wet again.
Uh-oh.
And then I stopped, and I listened, and I heard cats. And we went into the other room as I'm walking through this kind of damp carpet, and we turned the corner, and there were cats everywhere. So if anybody's listening to this, what I would suggest you do is ask the person when you get into their house, should I leave my shoes here? And if they say no, listen to them. Don't take your shoes off. That is a lifelong lesson that I learned.
Was it carpet
Not
or was it
one that's going to really help anybody make any money, but it might save your socks.
It's a life lesson.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess just on that with being in person or working different now, especially, you mentioned COVID and that I think not only changed the market, but also changed the way that businesses operated for a lot of industries and a lot of different companies. Mm-hmm. What do you see, Danielle, on your end? What do you see happening going forward the next couple of years? I mean, we talk a lot about the technology that's coming in and how that's changing maybe the role of the agent. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I by nature am very optimistic. I think good things are to come. I think this 2025 is going to be a good year for a lot of people in a lot of different industries. I'm excited to see interest rates continue to fall, and I'm excited to see people that have been traditionally on the sideline because they can't qualify, get off the sideline. And I'm excited to be a part of that journey for people. And as far as, people, person-to-person interaction, I think the pendulum is swinging back the other way, where people don't necessarily want to just be behind a computer all the time. I think people need people. And I think people are starting to realize, the impact that, COVID had with keeping people locked up. I think people are starting to see now, we need human interaction. We need, to be out and, doing, events like this community and client appreciation skate that I did, seeing people just enjoy being around one another. And, you just get through the holiday season, being with your family and, there's just something to being around people. So I'm very optimistic for what this year has in store, not only for the mortgage industry, like I said, but just across the board. And I think, I'm very optimistic for, what's to come.
I love that assessment. I tend to agree. I think that what's already happening is we can see that the most valuable thing now is time. Is people's time. And I think as that increases in value, which I think we're seeing that happen, is we understand as consumers how valuable people's time is, that when you get time with someone, it'll automatically make that meeting, that relationship more valuable, especially with the emergence of a lot of automation tools with AI. There's going to be a certain amount of mortgages, for example, that are maybe going to be able to be done. But for the most part, I don't think that we're order takers as brokers. This is not an item you can just buy off a shelf, right? It is something that you spend time with somebody and really go through the assessment, go through the suitability. And again, some of that I think can be automated with data, but I think people will continue to really appreciate the human spirit that's involved with any transaction 100%. For mortgage brokers.
And right now, I mean, banks are hungry for business and, there's a lot of rate competition out there, but what's going to set you apart and how you're going to win that business is the client feeling like you genuinely care for them and they're just not another, number in the bank system. If you come across authentic and that's just how you're going to win these deals, because honestly, sometimes I can't touch a rate that, that one of the big banks is offering that I don't have access to. But what saved the deal is me, people wanting to work with me, bring me the business because they know that they're cared for and appreciated. And that's the only way sometimes you're going to win deals like that.
And that's a really good point, Danielle. I think this is when we talk about competing with the banks as mortgage brokers, mortgage agents, this is really the way I think that you're going to win best is that competing on a personal level. Banks are really, for the most part, faceless. You might have a relationship with people at the bank, but as a broker, you are your brand. You can put your face out there and really create that relationship that in a way that the banks are not able to do. And I think that's where I think we can really increase that market shares through the personalization, the experience, the client experience. So I love that piece of advice.
100%.
What do you, I guess, Danielle, I'm wondering what, we talked about a lot already today, but I'm wondering what advice you might have if you were talking to someone who's maybe coming over from a similar field like you were, like nursing or any other field, actually.
Yeah.
What do you think they should be considering? What do you think they should be looking at? And maybe it's, this role's not for everyone. What should they be thinking about?
Yeah. I mean, it's a hard industry to get into. I won't sugarcoat that. You need to work very hard if you want to, succeed. But I think the biggest thing, and I wouldn't, a lot of people would say, you either have it or you don't. I would argue that in the beginning, I didn't have it. I didn't have what it took in me to be successful. It took time learning the business and understanding it to be like, you know what, I can do this. And it took a long time, like we had chatted about, that confidence, to build that confidence to, take my business to the next level. It took time to get there. So I would say, if you have any interest, you need to talk to people who are in the industry, who can encourage you and give you honest feedback. And you need to do self-reflection to know that, are you going to be okay with working weird hours? Are you going to be okay with, working after you get the kids to bed? Are you okay to work a commission-based job? You're 100% commission. If you're not working, you're not making money. Like it is what it is. So, I mean, if you can get past those big items, I think anybody can learn this business. And I genuinely say that. But you just need to have confidence in yourself, and you need to be willing to say yes to everything and go the extra mile for yourself.
And have that honesty, right? The internal honesty to say 100%. That, you know what, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I want to just have a 9 to 5, and what's important to me is everything outside of my job. When in reality, this role is more than that. It's a lifestyle as well, right?
Yeah.
And for me, we've covered a lot, and it's almost been an hour, and time is just flowing by. Do you have any wishes for this new year? Since we were just what is today? January 5th?
January 7th.
2025. That was New Year's. I lost a couple days. Do you have any wishes for the industry or people in the housing market? What would you like to see happen this year?
It's a good question. I mean, I want to see the people that I care about succeed, and I want to see. I have a quote. It's in my notes. I have a note in my phone that's got, quotes that I've heard that, when I need inspiration, something to cling to, a little encouragement, I go to. And actually, Joe, it was in one of the podcasts that you had said, when you see the opportunity, you take the opportunity, and the ones that do will rise to the top. So it's so encouraging, and it's something that I honestly cling to on days when you're feeling discouraged, when you lose a deal or something, clinging to things like that. And like I said, I'm very optimistic for what's to come in 2025. And I'm excited for those around me. Like I said, I'm excited to see people get off the sidelines and get into a home. And I'm excited to see, broker success. It's a big industry, and there's lots of deals out there for all of us. And so I'm just excited to see what happens for everybody in 2025. I'm optimistic for myself. Like I said, I've got my goals set out, but I'm also, excited to see other people succeed too. It's been a long time coming for brokers.
Absolutely. And you know what? We're excited to see how the year goes for you as well. We wish you all the best. And
Thank you.
Something we talked about a little earlier was Great Wolf Lodge. Do you know that Great Wolf Lodge doesn't have a day pass?
They don't have a day pass.
You have to stay overnight. That's the way that, you know what? My kids are always asking to go to Great Wolf Lodge, and my daughters, and I was like, we'll just go for the day. You can't go for the day. That's my wish for 2025.
You have to spend $600 to stay the night.
Yeah. So that's my wish for 2025.
That's a good wish.
Danielle, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have a busy schedule. it's obvious why you're so successful. That empathy, that caring. Love the story about the rink get together for your clients, and I hope everybody that's watching takes to heart what Danielle has been talking about, and that is caring is the top of the line. If you can care about your clients, you're going to succeed. If you look at them as a dollar sign or a number, or just another step on a path to an income, it's going to be difficult for you, and you're not going to enjoy it as much, and your kids are going to see that you don't enjoy it as much. So my hope for anybody watching is be like Danielle and enjoy it, and you're going to have kids that love what you do as well. So Danielle, thank you so much for spending the hour with us. We really appreciate it. We wish you all the best in 2025, and hope to touch base with you again later in the year and see how the year's been for you.
100%. Thanks so much for your time, guys. This has been really
Danielle.
fun.
Thanks for tuning in to the $1 Billion Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode.
For more in-depth entrepreneurial insights, follow us on social media, and for more info on the show, go to billiondollarpodcast.com.
See you next time.